What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So it's Tuesday, which means it's time for another tier list Tuesday. And I thought it'd be a fun idea to look at some of the young talent in the NHL and kind of project forward in 3 years when these guys are kind of entering their primes for the U-23 players, what they're going to look like in 3 years. So basically, this is some of the 2019 guys that had late birthdays and basically 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 draftees. I'm only going to be using guys that have played in the NHL thus far. So no Matvei Michkov, no Will Smith, no Ryan Leonard, no Gabe Perreault. I just want to see guys that I've personally watched a decent amount of. I've seen beat Boston College. I've watched some of Matvei Michkov, but I want to go mainly based off guys that we've seen play against the NHL that we know what they've looked like thus far. So without further ado, let's get into it. Up first, we got Moritz Seider. Moritz Seider, I'm going to go with Elite, a pretty controversial player when looking at it. His on-ice results aren't that impressive. They're actually not very good. But when you look at it, it's because he plays by far the toughest minutes in the entire NHL. This guy's a ton of talent, obviously a big defenseman with a heavy shot. I think once the Detroit defense core just gets better overall. They're not having like bums like Chirot and goddamn Justin Holl, and he can have some of the workload eased off him. He's going to be a stud in 3 years when he's 25 years old. He's going to be 60-ish points, very good defensively. Maybe not win a Norris like we thought after his rookie year, but definitely like a top 20 defenseman in the entire NHL, top 15 probably. Mason McTavish, I'm also going to go with Elite. When looking at Mason McTavish, very good season this year. Last year had 42 points. This season did miss some games for injury, but is on pace for like 55, 60. So in 3 years, I think he's only going to continue to improve. Do I think he's ever going to be like a superstar, like a star? By the way, top 10 stars is like top 25 player in the NHL. Elite is like top 60, top 70. Very good is just a good first liner, and good is like top 6, top 4 for the most part. Just want to get that out of the way. But McTavish, an elite player in 3 years seems about right. Cole Perfetti, I'm going to go with good. I'm still pretty high on him, but when looking at it, he hasn't really taken that next step this year, in part because he has kind of been buried a little bit by Rick Bowness. But yeah, in 3 years, what he'll be like 23, 24. He'll definitely be a good player. He'll be an effective two-way top 6 forward. And same thing kind of goes for Connor Zary. I think Connor Zary is going to be a good guy. He's 22 years old at this point, having a very good season for the Calgary Flames. Do I think that he has that high-end potential that some of the guys that we're going to have later on? I don't really think so. But he's definitely a good player, probably going to be a good two-way first liner for the Calgary Flames in 3 years. Matt Boldy, I'm very high on it. I can make an argument for him being a star, but I am going to go with Elite, taking another step offensively this year. Did again miss some games for injury, but he's on pace for around like 35 goals, 40-ish assists while being fantastic defensively. He's 22 years old. At 25, I might bump him up, dude. I really like Matthew Boldy. I think him and Kaprizov are going to be one of the best duos in the entire NHL in 3 years. I think he can be a legitimate top 25, top 30 player in the entire NHL. I don't think that's ridiculous. William Eklund, I really like William Eklund. He's on a bad Sharks team this year. Basically no talent around him, putting up around half a point per game. I think he's very underrated this season because he's playing in San Jose. He was like my number 3 prospect back in 2021. So I really like the way that he's progressing. Once Will Smith comes up and he actually has a legit center to play with, I think Eklund's going to be a 65, 70 point guy in 3 years. Jake Sanderson, elite. I did like the contract in the moment it was given out. People say, oh, he's getting $8 million. This guy is very good. He hasn't taken that massive breakout step yet, but he has improved his offense a bit. His defense is still fantastic. Similarly to a Moritz Seider, I think he's going to be a top 15, top 20 defenseman in the entire NHL in 3 years. Leo Carlsson, star. He has kind of gone cold of late offensively. He was started out fantastic. He had 18 points in his first 26 games. He was playing great, has dealt with injuries this season, obviously, but considering what he's doing at 18 years old, it has been very impressive. And I think in 3 years, he's going to be around a point per game, maybe even 85, 90 point guy. Him and Mason McTavish are going to be one of the best 1-2 center punches in the entire NHL. I think 3 years, he'll still be 21. I'm going to bump him down. I'm going to bump him down to elite as of right now. Next up, we got Lucas Raymond. When looking at Lucas Raymond, you can probably make an argument for a star. I'm going to go with elite as of right now. He's definitely taken another step this year in terms of last year having a bit of a down year, only 45 points. This year going to cruise to north of 60, a career high. He's going to be an elite player, no doubt in my mind. Quinton Byfield, I think Quinton Byfield is progressing to be a legit star in the NHL. Obviously, he apparently sprained both of his goddamn wrists last year. That's why he had 3 goals in 52 games. The goal scoring has gone up a lot. He has 53 points in 68 games or something like that. I think this guy has all the tools, all the potential in the world to eventually be a high-end star player in the NHL. Connor Bedard, I think in 3 years is going to be a top 10 player in the NHL. I think right now he's probably a top 40 player at 18 years old. So in looking at it, give him another 3 years. Do I think he's going to win a Hart like McDavid won a Hart in his second year? No, probably not. But I think just the talent in the league is just far greater than it was back in 2017. So Bedard, going to be one of the best players in the entire NHL by 2027. Owen Power has kind of let me down this season. You were expecting him to kind of take this sophomore year jump. Hasn't really happened, especially offensively. Has not really improved his point totals, his point per game pace, as well as defensively. Still kind of being a liability out there. So right now I'm a little bit lower on Owen Power. I still think he's going to be a good defenseman, but maybe not that legit number 2 to Erasmus Dahlin that we expected a year ago for the most part. Simone Nemec. Is it Nemec? I think it's Nemec. I've been saying Nemec for so long, but Simone Nemec. Nemec. All right, when looking at him, he's going to be a stud. This year has been fantastic at only 19 years old. The point totals haven't been that impressive, but I think going forward, that's in part because Luke Hughes has been the top power play guy. I think in 3 years, he's probably going to be the number 1 guy in the New Jersey Devils, around 55, 60 points as Dougie Hamilton starts to kind of decrease, considering he's 31 years old. Nemec is going to be that guy. Tim Stützle, I'm going to go with star. This season, although it's disappointing, maybe I don't think that he's going to be a top 10 player in his prime, but he's having a down year and it's still around like point per game. So in looking at Tim Stützle, he definitely, I don't put these rows in order, but Tim Stützle definitely would like hypothetically be first in this row. I think in 3 years, he's going to be a top 15 to 20 player in the entire NHL, give you around 95, 100 points a season. He's going to be an absolute stud. Luke Hughes has been disappointing this season. He's shown flashes, but he has been disappointing. I am lower on him now than I was a year ago coming out of Michigan. We're seeing some of the same warts with him that we saw back in Michigan that we thought he could maybe smooth out. I'm still going to put him in very good just because he's such a good skater. I think his offensive awareness, offensive skills are just so prominent. He definitely needs to be coached up some more. If you were saying next year, I'm not sure next year he emerges as a stud, but I think in 3 years with proper coaching, not Lindy Ruff, he's going to be a very good offensive defenseman. Logan Cooley, I'm going to go with elite. This year having a solid rookie year, around half a point per game. I think next year 55, 60 points, then 70-ish, and then in that third year go for around point per game on the Arizona Coyotes when he's centering like a Dylan Gunther, Clayton Keller first line. He's going to be fantastic. Uri Slafkovsky. I'm also going to go with elite. This season, in the back half of the season, his last 40 games, he's put up 35 points. He's been very, very good. He's progressing fantastic. Matty Beniers. I still think Matty Beniers is a very good player. When looking at Matty Beniers, the offense has obviously slowed down after having 57 points last year, but the defensive metrics are still very good. When looking at Seattle last year, everybody kind of just had a fluky year. Their shooting percentage was so much higher than their expected goal shooting percentage. They were one of the luckiest teams in the entire NHL. Regression was obviously due. I had them at 86 points. People thought I was crazy. So I think Beniers, his expectations got too high in his rookie year because he was great defensively as well as 57 points. But I still think this guy's only 20, 21. He's going to get along offensively. And even if he's a 60-point guy in 3 years with his kind of defensive impact, that's going to be a very low-end first-line center, very, very good second-line center. He's going to be a very good player. Wyatt Johnston, I can make an argument for him going in star, man. I could do it. He's going to put up 32 and 32 this season, one of the most underrated players in the entire NHL this season. Am I going to do it? Yeah, I think I am. I think top 30. Nah, I can't say top 30. I think he's going to be one of the definitely. He might be the first line center in Dallas by then. Definitely one of the best second line centers in the entire NHL by that season. If you gave me 5 years, I think he is going to be a star, but maybe not quite in 2027. Adam Fantilli, similar to a Leo Carlson. Oh shit, we've filled this entire row already. Goddamn. Similar to an Leo Carlson at 21 years old, 22 years old. Do I think he's going to be a top 30 player? No, but by then he's going to be a 70 to 80 point guy. Thomas Harley, very good. I think he's already a pretty damn good number 2 to Amir Heiskanen. Do I think he's ever going to become an elite guy like a Jake Sanderson? I'm not so sure, especially defensively. He's a very good offensive defenseman. His defensive game does need some work, but I think very good is a good spot for him. Kevin Korchinski, I'm going to put him in good. He's only 19 years old at 22. Do I think he's going to be lighting the entire NHL on fire? Potentially. It's definitely potential, especially if the Blackhawks land a first overall pick and are competitive in 3 years. But I still think in 5 years, he's going to be a very good elite. But he is a 2022 draftee and a younger one at that. Seth Jarvis, Seth Jarvis belongs in elite. This year, he's going to have 30 and 30. He's been a fantastic player. So when looking at that, I think in 3 years, he's probably going to put up around 40 and 40. You can make a strong argument for him being in star. Alexis Lafreniere, I'm going to put him in very good. I'm going to get shat on this. Having a very good season, but he is playing next to Artemi Panarin, heart level Artemi Panarin. Again, very good. I think he's going to be a very good player, a very good first liner. Do I think he's going to be elite? No, I would take Seth Jarvis. I would take Lucas Raymond from that 2020 draft over an Alexis Lafreniere. Jack Hughes gets in the top 10. He's already a top 10 player, in my opinion, right now, or definitely fringe number 11, number 12. Having a down year still, points per game on pace for like 103 goddamn points. So I think he's still going to be a top 10 player in 3 years, considering he's only 22 years old. Pavel Mintyukov, I'm going to put him in very good. Do I think he's going to be an elite number 1 in 3 years? No, he's only 19, 20 years old right now. So at 22, 23, he's going to be a very good player, give you around 50, 55 points. Not sure he's going to be that complete number 1 quite yet. Then we got Zach Benson. I'm going to put in good just because he's 18 years old right now. I can't really quite say that he's going to be this star at 21 compared to the other guys listed ahead of him. He is the third youngest guy on this entire thing, only behind like Bedard and Carlson. He's still young, but obviously it's not an equal comparison compared to some of these other guys. And then Brock Faber, I am going to put in elite. I really filled up that goddamn elite category for the most part. That's severe. But when looking at Brock Faber, already a good number 1 defenseman this year, playing 25 minutes a night, only 22 years old. I think in 3 years, he's going to be an elite top 15 to top 20 defenseman, akin to a Sanderson and a Sider. But yeah, this is it. I'm going to make one change. I just realized I got to move Wyatt Johnston up to star. I think if I'm going to have Quinton Byfield there, I need to have Wyatt Johnston as well. When looking at Wyatt Johnston, again, I think Fantilli and Carlson will eventually be in stars, but when looking at it, they're only going to be 21, 22 compared to Johnston, 22, 23. Byfield's going to be like 24 years old by then. So I think this is about fair. Again, I'm still higher on Fantilli, Slavkovsky, and Carlson than these two, or these three, honestly, but they are significantly younger than the others. So this is it. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about this? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Again, this is 3 years from now, end of 2027 season. I'll be seeing the next one.